back to the channel, guys. So I wanted to take some of your time today and kind of go over some survival things that maybe people don't think about, maybe some things that you do think about and you're just thinking if that's something you need. Listen, I'm not a survival expert, but I spent a lot of time studying survival. What is survival to me? Survival is basically being prepared for the unexpected, being prepared in a situation that you're not experiencing on a regular basis. This video may be a little bit lengthy. First off, again, thanks for coming back to the channel. I don't know what today brings. I don't know what our world brings each day. So this video is kind of based on what I think, I personally, my experience or my preference of what I should be prepared in today's society, in the way that things are going with our today's world. This video might be a little bit lengthy, but yet maybe be pretty short. We'll see how it goes. I want to cover it in different stages. These are things I want to talk about of what I think we should be as people that are not prepared. And what does that mean? I don't know if you've noticed it. Our gas prices keep changing up and down, fluctuating period from point to point, or from day to day, or from week to week. I think that gas on hand is a good idea. I really do. I think having gas at people say, oh, I'll just bug out. Okay, I get bug out. But let me ask you a question. Yes, there are chances that you could be in a situation where your bug out situation is, compromised because you cannot get to it because it's so far away. That's something you should be thinking of. Where can I go for a safe being, or to be safe away from what I recognize is maybe the city, maybe a town, maybe a village, wherever it is you are currently sitting or staying, that you're looking for a place that you can go and be safe. Maybe take your family. If you're a single person, then you're only worried about yourself. But if you're like me, which of course I have family, there's 5 of us, and we want to make sure that we are prepared. My wife wasn't a big prepper. Maybe to this day she still isn't a big prepper. But I've been a prepper for many years now. Now, I'm not the best prepper in the world. You can take my knowledge and you can use it. Or you can just say, you know what, he's crazy, you don't know what he's talking about. But this is what I prep with, okay? And these are some of the things I want to talk about today. So, listen, stick around for the channel. Stick around. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on and what we should be doing and how we should go about what I think people should be putting in their stockpile. So, stick around, guys. Thanks so much for coming back to the channel. Stand tuned for the next little bit. So let's talk about the first topic, food. What kind of food should I be preparing? What kind of food should I be putting in my pantry? What kind of food should I be putting in a supply closet? What kind of food should I be using that I can have for years to come? Well, there's the first one. There's MREs. Well, MREs are great, they are, but MREs also can stop you up, give you a rough calorie intake. Is definitely in the MRE, don't get me wrong, but MREs can cause you to be have a backup system. It just basically doesn't work out too well, so you can't live on it for a long term. Then of course you've got meals ready to eat, which I don't mean MREs, I'm referring to what you find in your stores for like a backpacker. Those meals are great, but again, try not to change your diet so much from what you're currently eating. I know that's going to be hard to say when you don't have power, you don't have a refrigerator, but these are items that I currently prep with, which are canned foods and dry goods, rice, baking soda. Now that may not be something you can currently think, oh, I can't eat that, but that's an item that you can put in your prep. Now, of course, this prep could be an area where you're walking it out of your home, your current residence. You can have it to where you can hold down your residence as long as you can, and then have a backup plan to where you're taking off with your bug out bag. I currently, at this time, I have supplies that I will be loading into my vehicle and departing from where I live currently. Now, food again, we're talking about dry goods, we're talking about canned foods. Like I said, if you're of choice of if you're military or if you are a person that says, hey, you know, the military's got it weighing, let's go ahead and get a bunch of MREs. You know, Patriot, I'm just giving you some names. Wise Foods, these are dry goods that are currently have a shelf life of 25 years roughly. Those may be a little bit of expensive. They may be more than your budget permits. But canned goods, let's talk about that for a moment. I currently have canned goods I keep on hand, my wife and I do, for our family. And that can be corn. Now, that's just more of a starch item. That's not really meat per se, or when I say meat and potatoes, I don't mean exactly the meat and potatoes. What I'm referring to is something to keep stable, keeping your body moving, excuse me, in a FH situation. So green beans, corn, fruits, canned fruits. Now, they may not be the best item when it comes to fruits and nourishment and vitamins and minerals and things of that nature, but it would help you in some situation. In some form, it would do something for you. Buying cans that are large items, not recommended. When I say don't buy a big gigantic can of beans, not unless you're planning on finding a way to package it to where it can stay in that package for a long period of time. Because let me ask you a question. If you're one person and you bought a big can of beans and you spent, $30-40 on buying 3 good sized cans of beans, beans are great protein. They are. But in the same point, they also, if you got a big can, you can't salvage it. Who wants to eat beans nonstop for a week? Buddy, you're gonna have some issues, and I just think, to me, finding small canned items would be a good idea. Beans is a great small canned item. Now, what we do currently in my home is we swap things out. So when we buy groceries, we take those groceries that are canned items and we put them in a safe place. Now, let's talk about that for just a brief second. Let's make sure we're keeping them in climate control. You don't want to put them in a shed where it's going to be hot and cold throughout your year. Those canned items, if you do it the way I'm saying here, you can have canned items that will last you years. Some canned items can last from 2 to 5 years. Did you know that actually past the expiration date, that you're pretty much a good guarantee of 2 years past that? And like I said, some items you can have even longer, up to 2 to 5 years. I have food items that are now currently 2 years older than the expiration date, and they're still good. Now, what am I doing when I say I'm swapping it out? What I'm saying is, when I go to the store, I buy the things that I'm already currently eating every day, so that my diet will not be changed when I go to in a rough situation where we don't have the normal environment that we have every day, which we take for granted. Some people do. I can't guarantee that in your SHF situation, if the poop hits the fan, let's put it that way, you're going to be able to stay in your home, in your residence. Now, I personally will try to hold out as long as I can until my situation gets compromised. And then I will have to, of course, evacuate and load up what packages, what materials, what supplies I have. So, like I said, food items, canned items are a highly recommended situation, I think. Definitely, if you can get prepackaged foods that are backpackers, MREs, yes, you can't live on those. You can do something with those. Guys, the next episode, on the next part of this segment, I want to talk about supplies that people just don't think of that you might need. So I want to talk about supplies. What does that mean to me? Supplies would be things I use on a daily basis, but yet I don't put them away for a rainy day. Gasoline, propane. Let's talk about toiletries. Toiletries could be anything. Feminine napkins. If you have ladies in your home, feminine napkins might be something you might want to think about. Soap. So we've got toilet paper, soap, lady napkins. We've also got, how about alcohol? I don't mean drinking alcohol. I mean alcohol for cleaning. Peroxide. making sure your first aid kits have backup and backup and backup. Now, you don't have to go out and break the bank when I say this. What I'm not referring to is just, oh, you know, when you can get a chance to spend a little bit of money. Now, let me tell you something that I've learned, that the dollar stores, and wherever you are, I don't know if you are, has a Dollar Tree or a dollar store, but those, where I live, sometimes can have a lot of products and items that I can currently put on my shelves. Hand sanitizer. Let me ask you a question. How many of those of you out there during the pandemic got stuck with no toilet paper? You didn't think about stockpiling. I'm not saying go empty the shelves. Please do not take that in the wrong way. Do not go empty the shelves because somebody told you to do it. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm trying to tell you is having supplies that you currently already use and swap them out, trade them out. So when you go buy something new, you put that on your shelf. You grab off the shelf what you had already and you use that item previously. You don't need to have 5 billion boxes of toilet paper, okay? You don't need to have 5 billion boxes of alcohol, hand sanitizer, but these are items you should have on your shelf, I think. Alcohol, peroxide, napkins, lady napkins I'm referring to, paper towels. I mean, everybody uses paper towels. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the paper towel to a small degree. It's great that you can wipe your hands and throw it in the trash can, but in the same point, we're throwing it in our dumps, and our dumps are getting more and more every day picked up. I'm not getting on that topic because I can go on for hours, but supplies. If you haven't thought of the supplies that you currently use, just take a little notepad, stick it in your pocket and say, hey, look, plain and simple. I know I use this every day. Maybe I should buy a little bit more. If I can afford to do it, do it. If you can't, don't do it. Okay, I don't want to, somebody to put in the comments down below that, hey, you told me to do this, now I'm bankrupt. No. This is not that kind of video. This video is basically saying, put a little something beside. Put a little money away. I mean, it's like, let me ask you a question. Your savings account. Silver. Have you ever thought about buying silver? I mean, silver is a great item. It can be used for bartering if we can't get into a bank. I'm not saying, again, this is not saying go right now and take every bit of money you have into savings and drop it into silver. No, what I'm saying is, have you ever thought buying items that you can barter with in a situation where you're kind of in a tight situation, where our economy is crashing, where see people looking for the government for assistance, but yet here's the thing, there's so many of us and there's only so much government. Do we want to sit here and put the whole our life on their hands? Let's be big people and let's think about how we can plan our lives. And that's what I do. I try to plan. Now do I accept a stimulus check? Yeah, I did. Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you so much from the government. We appreciate it. We do. But in the same point, we as people, now I know there are lots of people in this world. I am not rich. Okay, I am not a millionaire. Okay, I'm just your ordinary blue-collar gentleman that is trying to support his family. And I'm trying to help you in some areas you may be not thinking of. So if you can afford to put propane, gasoline, some toiletries, some supplies that you currently use every day on standby, think about doing so. I want to also add in the next segment here, in the next moment, I want to talk about things that people may have in their homes currently and some things you might not have in your home. What do you do when you have a power outage? So listen, stick around for another one and we'll see you on the next one here in a second. All right, so let's talk about things you might currently already own or you may already have in your home. What is that topic going to be about? Okay, so to me, we have a rig or an RV, a camper. That could be a backup home for me if my home that I live in currently is compromised or is, damaged due to fire, or I've been overtaken because people are looking for supplies. Let me also explain to you, I do not, again, I think I spoke to this a minute ago in the first segment, but I do not have thousands and thousands of buildings of money wrapped up in supplies. Okay, I don't. So If you think I'm your guy that's going to get you out of the trouble that you're in, I'm not that guy. But what I am is, like I said, the ordinary Joe that is trying to provide for his family to make sure that they are doing what they need to do to be prepared. So let's talk about those things you might already have. How about guns and ammo? You know, if you can afford to buy a gun, or if you currently have a gun, if you already have a gun, are you preparing yourself for ammunition? Are you preparing yourself to make sure you have ammunition enough to sustain your family should there be a situation where you need to, sad to say this, hold your ground? Another idea you might want to think about is making sure that you have the cleaning supplies for your guns. Making sure your guns are clean, prepared, and ready for any moment's notice. I mean, if you're a gun carrier, if you're a CCW carrier, you want to make sure your firearm is always ready. I am not one of those people that likes to talk about that for one reason. I'm one of those people that, listen, worst case scenario, if you are trying to hurt my family, yes, I'm going to have to step up and do what I need to do. But I'm not going to sit here and gloat about it. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it saying, yeah, come over to my house, let me shoot you. And that's not this conversation. But this is one topic I want to say. These are items that I want to really make known. So I have an RV. I can use that for a backup plan. If I need to get out of this situation where I currently am, I can use that, stockpile all of my supplies into my rig, into my truck, that pulls that vehicle, that pulls the rig. I can use that, okay? Yes, I hear people saying in the comments now, oh, you're an idiot because you've just got a big, huge freaking wind sail going down the road and making yourself well known that you're trying to, evacuate your location. Well, hopefully, my friend, we don't have to deal with that. Second of all, when I say deal with that, I'm referring to maybe that the world will stay in a decent manner and people will start to respect one another and we'll start to stop this conflict between one another and this war between one another. I'm sure I'm going to ruffle some feathers on somebody on this conversation, but that's not my intentions. My intentions is good here. I want to try to help those who are not thinking of it. Now let's put somebody in a situation. I live in I don't, but somebody who lives in a high-rise building in the middle of a city. Oh, I don't have a whole lot of room. I've got an apartment. I don't have a place to put things. Well, buddy, there's a lot of opportunity that you didn't even think about storage under your bed. How about a shelf in a closet that you're not even currently using? How about putting stuff in your pantry in places that you don't even think of? You can get crazy with these supplies. You can put them in places underneath. Now, you can't put gasoline in your home. Don't ever do that. Not a good idea. The fumes would take you out. Just wouldn't work. Propane, of course. You don't want to put that in this situation. But if you have an outside building, access to an outside building, and again, I'm not trying to base it to the person that's got the apartment because this is going to be really complicated for you. My hat's off to you if you got into a situation and got caught, use the terminology, but with your pants down, because you chose the lifestyle of living down with the bars and the clubs and all that stuff is in a downtown Charlotte, in a downtown city area. That all being said, you want to make sure that you're trying to make your preparations. Now that may be, if you were in that situation, you might want to think about a bug out bag. I have a small video about a bug out bag that I put together, just some random items I put together in a bug out bag. That might be something you want to think of. If you're in a city situation, if you're in a town situation where there's a lot of population, you want to think of maybe doing a bug out bag. That's another supply you might not already think about, or you may already have. If you've already got it and you've already thinking in your head, ahead of the game is the way to be, definitely. So let's get back to those people who may have supply closets, who may have closets, and I don't mean in your home, I'm talking about closets that you have outside, that fumes and things that you may put on hand for emergency situations, you can store there, okay? Now, let me tell you that you don't want to go storing a pile of gasoline next to a home, because that's nothing but a bomb, okay? As well as a pile of propane or kerosene or whatever it is. Now, so if you've got a kerosene heater in your home, I'm not a big fan of kerosene heaters. I was a fireman for many years. I've seen that be a bad case, a bad situation for somebody. But if that's what you only have, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, be afraid, be afraid. No, 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 that's not the situation. You do what you have to do to survive. That's what you've been doing before I even came around and talk about things like this. So this is just a helpful hint video. That's all this is about. Some supplies that I currently have on my hand standby would be gasoline. I have a place that I'm able to put gasoline in a safe location. I have propane, because if I need to heat my home with a propane heater, now that needs to be addressed a little bit. I would try to actually, if my home came down to a situation where I wasn't able to live in it due to power outage, I would probably drop back to an RV. Why? Because the RV is less power, okay? And as well as I can control the temperature a lot easier versus a large space, 17, 18, 2,300 square feet, home. Excuse me. But I would think of having a generator is a very good item to have. If you have a generator, I have two. I have a very large generator and I have a very small generator. Now, what do I use my little small generator for? Actually, to be honest with you, I have a tailgater, which is a Harbor Freight tailgater. That thing will run a freezer and a refrigerator in a power outage situation. Now, when I say power outage, I'm not saying, oh, the world went to crap and we lost our power grid. No, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to, we had a storm last night or this morning or whatever it was, and I did not have power, and I didn't know how long it was going to take for my power to be back up. So I hook up my little small generator to my refrigerator and to my freezer. Again, these are item places that you can put items in. If you have a freezer, a deep freezer, to putting those supplies of food that I was talking to you in the first segment about food, freezing items. Now, that may not be something for long term. When I say long term, because you only have so much fuel, and if fuel out there in the world is not available to you, you might start stealing it. I'm not saying go steal fuel, okay? What I am saying is, if you have a little bit of a nest egg of fuel standing by for your generator, you can run a refrigerator. I currently have two refrigerators as well as a freezer, and I could run those off of my little small generator. That little tailgater, it's an older one. I'd love to do a review on it one day, but anyway, there's a lot of things you can do with that little small generator, and it's quiet. My bigger generator, not so quiet. It's a big powerhouse. It's loud, it's noisy, and it will also give away your information, or give your location away by sound. Now, there's a lot of things you can do in videos and research on YouTube about how to maybe make it quieter with deflecting the sound and things of that nature, with boards and and things of that nature, or with wood. But I'm talking about just trying your hardest to hold down your ground as long as you can until you have to bug out. Hopefully you have that situation available to you, which is a bug out bag. And let's talk about that just for a moment, and I'll kind of close up with you. But a bug out bag. So one bug out bag is not going to accommodate a family of 5 unless you can really carry 40,000 pounds of weight on your back and you're trying to skedaddle away from the location that you currently live in. You need to have a bug out bag that's compatible, or that's available for each person you have in your home. That bug out bag needs to consist of toiletries. That bug out bag needs to have food. That needs to have some form of heat source. That needs to have a change of clothes in general. I'm not saying go put 40,000 pounds of weight on your back, and your little guy who's 6 years old or 7 years old, or maybe even your wife who's not fully of great health, or your husband that's not of great health, he's got to be carrying this big huge pack. Maybe that person who is the strongest of your pack, of your family, should be carrying the most weight. I currently am that person in my family, so my pack may have a little bit more in it, a little more supplies that I may be carrying for somebody in my family that may be a little bit weaker. But let's get the bug out. So what I'm saying to you is you should have toiletries, a change of clothes, food, some form of heat, some form of water purification. Make sure you have medical supplies. I'm not saying go do sutures. I'm not saying, I'm thinking about just your typical first aid kit. It doesn't need to be a large box. but just your general band-aids, bandages, antiseptics, maybe some headache, whether your choice is if you're a Aleve or you're an aspirin or you're an ibuprofen person, having that on standby. Maybe some sick, upset stomach medicine would be a good idea. Some nausea medicine might be good to keep in your bug out bag. Hand sanitizer should be a good thing to keep in your bug out bag. Like I said a minute ago, water purification tablets, another good idea to have in your situation. A lot of people, they say, oh my gosh, water purification tablets are very expensive for me. Well, there's a lot of other things. I'm not saying carry a gallon of bleach in your pocket. What I'm saying is that bleach, did you know bleach is also in some of the city water that you currently drink now? It is. They use it for purification. They use it to get rid of some of those unwanted minerals that may be in our water. I'm on a well where I am, but in a situation who is not, might be food for thought. You never know. The water that you drink from the city during a rough situation might be compromised. I was in a town one time and there was E. coli in the water that we had. How did I deal with that situation? Well, first off, I didn't drink the water. Okay, I had water on standby, so that's what I lived off of while they were trying to get it back up and stating. I also own a Berkey water filter. Maybe one day I'll do a review on that. There's so many videos, so I don't want to sit here and overdo somebody else's video, but a Berkey water filter would be another thing to have. I have a small Berkey water filter that my family and I have 5 who use. Now we filter our water and then we put it away. We stockpile it away. So we have that water. And how does that we have a travel, I think is what they call it, a travel a Berkey that is a travel size. So it's a small one. I think it does 1.5 gallons of water. That takes a period of time for us to do it, but you can use it for so many different things. That was one of the reasons why I was like in my head thinking, I live in this town. We have a situation with water. Our water has been compromised. What do I do now? How do I go about it? And the first thing that popped in my head was my Berkey. And actually, beer Berkeys, they will purify your water beyond what you would think they would do. I've seen people use it for drinking water out of swimming pools. I've seen them drinking out of creeks, rivers, storm drains. I've seen them take, of course, your regular city water and purify that just because they didn't like the taste that was in their water. A Berkey filter is a good idea. Life Straw, another good idea. It's a brand, I know that, but I'm referring to that form of straw. You should have that in your bug out bag. Another thing you should have in your bug out bag would be a fire starter, some form of fire. Now, yes, fire can cause you a conflict. You can heat on it. It brings you heat and warmth, but you can also give your location away if you're trying to lay low. So I just want to bring this video to you guys today to let you know some ideas, some thoughts in my head, the way that the world is going today. Are we prepared? Are you prepared? Are you ready for a rough situation? Are you ready for tidal waves over your situation? When I say tidal waves, I don't mean water. I'm referring to a rough situation. Are you ready? And the question is, are you? Let me also take a moment. Thank you guys so much for following us along. I noticed that our reviews and not reviews, more like our videos, they not have as many views. If you're new to the channel, guys, thank you so much for coming around today. Hopefully this is some information that you didn't have or you maybe needed a little bit of advice. Again, I'm not a professional a gun person. I'm not a professional survivalist. I don't go to school to study this stuff. This is just common knowledge stuff that I keep on hand. And I'm hoping maybe one day it might be useful to you if you take this. Again, thank you so much for coming today. We'd also like to say, if you would, hit that notification bell. And if you haven't already, subscribe with us. And please like and share this video. Again, thanks so much for coming to the homestead today. This is our homestead, EFAM, signing out. See you in the next video, guys.